Hello everyone, it's Kay here, and I'm here today to do a little bit of beading, and I thought it would be good if you joined me. Basically what I'm doing is as a direct inspiration from Jill Wiseman, who is a very, very talented beading lady, and what I've got in front of me are the makings of a standalone bauble or bead, depending on how you would like to term it. And instead of using really expensive components, I'm using cheaper ones, but they still come out looking very, very good. And it's the sort of thing that you could string together and make a bracelet with. You could make earrings with it. You could do really pretty much whatever your heart desired once you've built them up. It may just be that you like them and they're pretty, and you could see them as an addition to a paper project, a card project. So without further ado, here I've got some 3mm glass pearls, very, very cheap. And you start off by picking up 4, 1, 2, oops, lost it, 2, 3, and 4, and essentially you take them down to the bottom of your thread. I'm using £6 Fireline because that's what I like to use. It's very strong, it doesn't interfere with your work at the end of the day, and it is strong enough to take a little bit of tension once the item is being worn. I've just threaded up through all 4 beads again, and you'll see it's gradually forming into a circle. You then go to the first pearl bead again, and what I like to do at this stage is reinforce that little bit of bead work. What you want to do essentially is just keep building this as you go along, and it amounts to a right angle weave. You're forever working in circles, if that makes sense, and you're working from the right always. So I'm going to go up through, and this top bead here opposite to where I started represents the first link of the next set of beads. So 1, 2, 3 and 4, and in the circle motion I'm coming through, my threads coming out of this side, I'm closing that circle by going in through the opposite side of the pearl, glass pearl. I'm turning my work, it's not essential. I do this because it's easier for me then to thread on through, so I reinforce those 4 beads as well. Now you can go through them singly or wherever your needle likes to take you. If you can go through 2 beads at a time like that, that's fine. Keep the tension fairly strong, and there's the second circle. Now I'm going to turn that toward me again because I want to follow this circle going anti-clockwise, and I'm going to pick up another 3 of the little 3mm pearls. Again, I'm making that circle and that loop. My thread is coming out of here, so I'm going through that bead and pulling like so, and I again will reinforce that section of beading all the way around. This saves you coming back and doing it at the end. You need a good amount of thread to start off with, because clearly you don't want to be adding thread to it unnecessarily. If you've got a whole piece of thread, then that reinforces your work in its own right. So there's another piece all set and ready to go, and you see there's 1 full circle, include that one is 2. We've just done number 3. I'm turning the work over again, and I'm picking up another 3 of the 3mm pearls. Now I've no facility here to fast forward or alter the speed of this video. So it really is, if you want to fast forward yourself and move along the process, then obviously feel free to do so. With all beading patterns, with everything in the craft world, colouring your components, keeping the colour ranges friendly toward one another always makes for a better outcome. That's that one done. So to coordinate is key to having something that looks polished and finished at the end of the day. So I'm just coming up through this next group of beads, again reinforcing all the while. These beads are tiny, so you don't actually see a whole lot of thread in the working of this particular piece, which is rather lovely, but even if you did, there are more bits and pieces to go with it. So what we've got now is, I don't know, 2, 4, 5, 8, 10, 13, 15, there's going to be 17 pearls altogether, am I counting that right? 2, 5, 8, 11, 14, 16, 18 pearls altogether. Excuse my maths. Now what I'm going to do is fold this in half, and in doing that you bring the two pieces together and it makes like a horseshoe effect between your fingers. You pick up another of the pearls and go down through the bead on the other side. Pick up the last pearl and go up through the bead that brought the two halves together. And there you have a lovely circlet of the pearl beads. I'm going to reinforce that once again just to make sure that it is absolutely strengthened and where I want it to be. So there is that little group and cluster of pearls, beautifully put together, very strongly put together. The next thing to do is to go through, your thread is coming out of a middle bead, you want to move then onto what amounts to an outside bead. So take your thread to that place, and what we want to do then is pick up 3 contrasting seed beads. These are size 11. They are very, very tiny, so you do need to work with a needle that will fit through all these sizes of beads without any difficulty. And you snap those in between the 2 pearls, and what you end up with then are 2 beads on either side of the central seed bead, and that one is a tad proud. That's exactly how you want it to be. And you continue to pick up those 3 seed beads to go through the next pearl on the outer edge, snap them up together, and they fit together beautifully. Another 3. These are not expensive seed beads, they are round seed beads and readily available in a wonderful array of colours. So you might find you've got some in your stash from making decorative hat pins and that kind of thing. It's amazing what you can find when you're looking for something. Another 3 and through the outside bead. Now once you've got 3 seed beads between each of the pearls, as I'm about to have here, you go through the first pearl, or the pearl that you started off with when you started to put the 3 seed beads between each of the pearls, and you're coming out from the side, so go down through the middle pearl in the row, leaving your seed beads where they sit, and then from that downward pass of the thread, you go to the first bead, the first pearl that's next in line. Now I am right-handed. Clearly if you're left-handed you need to do things to suit you, but essentially the beadwork is exactly the same. Now I'm going to continue with my white seed beads. I'm picking up a seed bead. I'm going to that proud seed bead in the middle of the three I've just connected to the pearls, and I'm pulling that quite tightly and going through the next pearl. And what you actually end up with is this cross of 5 seed beads in between the pearls that are already in place. So I hope that's nice and clear for you, and you do that as you go around. Pick up your seed bead, through the middle seed bead of the 3, another seed bead, and through the next pearl. And as you go along you need to keep your tension quite strong, because you want these little florets to form from the 3 seed beads. So that amounts to a little 5 cluster of beads forming on the center of the pearls that you've already put together. One size 11 into the middle seed bead, pull it quite firmly, one size 11, and through the next pearl on the bottom row, and pull firmly, one size 11 seed bead, one thread through the middle of the seed bead, pull it firmly, another of the 11 seed bead, and we're actually going into the pearl that's next in line, so you mustn't leave any of them out. Once you've gone around that circle, you start on the next phase. You can pick this up and put it down whenever you like, providing you can read what you've done before within your work. It's always better to finish on a completed round if you possibly can. That keeps everything in order. Now what I've done here is gone through the last pearl and up through the first seed bead of the first cluster of 5. I hope I'm not making this too difficult for you. You then go through the center bead of the 5, and that sets you up for the next round. And what we need on this round is a little bit of bling. So I've got some size 11 crystal seed beads and some very, very beautiful 4mm crystals here. You can use a 3 or a 4 depending on how proud you want that crystal line to be. But I'm going to pick up one 11, one bicone, and one 11. And I'm going to take this from this central seed bead through to the next seed bead, and you can see that snuggles in there really quite beautifully. And again, one crystal seed bead, one bicone, one crystal seed bead, and I'm going through the next central bead of that little 5 cluster. You may find as you go along that you need to bring the seed beads more into the center of where you're working, but that is not a problem because these sized beads work very nicely together and do allow for manoeuvring and keeping your work where you need it to be. You'll see I'm pulling my thread quite tightly. You're allowed to do that. The only thing I would say to you is if you're using cheaper crystals, whilst putting your crystal seed bead and then your bicone and then your crystal seed bead in that formation. It does protect the thread somewhat, but you have to be prepared that periodically you might come across a sharpness that will cut through your thread, and if that happens, my best advice if you're starting out is to start again from scratch. Don't try and patch, because you do need everything to be strong and settled. Again, through the middle bead of the 5, and I'm going along again. I've got one more section to do here. So a size 11 crystal, a size 4 bicone, a size 11 crystal, and I'm going to go through that next seed bead to the connection, and I'm going to pass all my beads again just to tighten up and strengthen that particular row of beads. And you can do this very, very simply. It is about keeping your work quite tense and in a place where it's not going to move around too much or slacken off, because as with all threads, there is a little bit of easing of the thread over a given period of time, and so if they are too slack as you start out, that's the way they will end up, only more so, and you could end up feeling that you can't use it any longer. But I think you'll agree that is such a beautiful, beautiful combination of colours. I'm really quite liking that. Now I've come out of a crystal seed bead. I'm going to go down toward the centre ring of pearls. So that's down through 2 seed beads, through the pearl that's already sitting there. And what I'm going to do now is add another size 11 seed bead, and I'm passing through each of the pearls, just filling that gap between the pearls on this row, hiding any thread that may be visible by putting this crystal seed bead in between the pearls as they sit there, and it just lends a really lovely finish to your work. It hides, oops, I've gone through the seed bead there, just through the pearls, it hides everything. You don't have to worry about any threads being visible at this stage. It really has got everything covered. Now what I like to do is go through the pearl and up through the seed bead, through the next crystal seed bead. What I'm doing essentially is working a path around to the other side, because what I want to do is put a crystal between those pearls as well, and it just gives it an overall finished feel and look, so anybody scrutinising your work will only see what you want them to see essentially, and the last thing you want them to be aware of is the threads that it's taken to put this little item together. It is very, very simple. Clearly every time you change your colours it's going to look different. It's actually a very firm little item when it's all finished, and you could quite easily use that as a lovely decorative earring, even as a brooch if you wanted to. There's no holds on these little things. It is almost a bead in its own right. It is absolutely lovely. I'm going through again and just reinforcing what I've done. Again, making sure that all my threads are covered and that everything feels secure and ready to go. Now there are several ways you can finish this off. You don't have to tie knots if you don't want to. Personally I do, and I like to use the half hitch knot. And what you do is find a little bit of visible thread, make a circle like so, pass your needle through that circle so you're almost making a lasso effect. Gently pull it down toward the bead and snap it tight. Go on through a couple more beads. Again, always between a bead, find a little bit of thread, make that little circle, pass your needle through the circle and snap it into place, and that's as secure as anything you can do in the beadwork world. So I'm just going to finish off that thread there. I would work the tail in exactly the same way. I'm not going to do it now because I don't want this video to be too long, but you can see it is absolutely delightful. That's just a teal coloured pearl, white seed beads, crystal seed beads, and these glorious little glass 4mm bicone beads. So I hope that's been a bit of an inspiration to you. I want to end this video by doing a subscribers giveaway. I am proud and very delighted to say I have now got over 900 subscribers, and I would like to just give a little something in appreciation of that fact. I've made a simple rope bead here. I've got this tiny little magnetic clasp which opens in a slideway direction and I would like you at the bottom of this video to say why you would like to receive this little bangle. That's all I want. I will then next Sunday pick a winner from whoever decides that they would quite like this little token. You must be a subscriber, share the video by all means, and when I get to 1,000 subscribers I will be putting up a challenge. I'll just show you the other little beads here that I've put together. It really is such a delight to make, and believe me, once you get started you won't stop at one. They are really addictive. So thank you for sharing this time with me. Take care everyone. Bye bye for now.